Well, on behalf of the MIT Activities Committee, want to welcome you to the wreath making class today. We're thrilled to collaborate with the MIT Women's League, who has created those beautiful wreaths we see at 77 Mass Ave every year. We're delighted to have Brenda Blyce here and Kirsty Bennett from the Women's League, who will tell you a little bit about the history of wreath making, and then Brenda will explore the world of wreath making. So Kirsty, if you want to just give a little bit of history of the wreaths that are made at 77 Mass Ave.
Thank you, Diane, and thank you everyone for joining us today. I'm about to hand you over to Brenda, who for over 5 years now has been leading the initiative to build those giant wreaths that hang at 77 Mass Ave every year. And the Women's League has been making those wreaths every year since the 1930s, when Carl Taylor Compton and his wife Margaret lived in the president's house. No one seems to know the exact year, but sometime in the 1930s, and I'll share a photo from way back when in the chat. So every year we gather, usually in a room in the student center, and there's coffee and Christmas music and donuts, and everybody like piles in and makes the wreaths together. And obviously that's not going to happen this year. This year it looks a little different, though we did get the great news last week that Buildings and Grounds have accepted a donation from the Women's League to build those wreaths on our behalf. So all love to the people at Buildings and Grounds who are going to figure out how to make wreaths by themselves and hang them up in the first couple of weeks of December. So if you're on campus or you drive past in December, you'll see them up. Because this would have been the first year since the 1930s that there wasn't any, so we had to find a way around it. So the leader of today's workshop, Brenda, is going to show you how to make a smaller wreath, not one of those giant 6-footers that we hang up at 77 Mass Ave. And this is part of our Skillshare program in conjunction with Spouses and Partners Connect and with MyTech. And with no further ado, I will hand it over to Brenda.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining me and everyone else. Thank you, Kirsty, for that nice warm welcome. Just a little bit about me. I am an administrative and financial assistant over at the MIT Museum, and I love to do crafts. I have been in the craft field for most of my life, since I was a kid, but I do like to explore every possibility when I can get a chance. So today we're going to go and we're going to start with a fall wreath that I've put together. And then we'll move on to the pine cone wreath, which is more festive for the holidays. So what I've done here, as you can see, is I've got some gourds that I purchased, and I usually buy these in packages at Joann's or Michael's. Right now, all the fall and Halloween items are on clearance, so it's a great time to pick up this stuff and just get it at a great price. So I'll show you the other side. I've used a nice big dahlia, and I can even see through it. And these leaves are just on a very large pick that I have somewhere here. And what I do is I just peel them off and just stick them where I'd like in the wreath. And most of these are not adhered because may not be happy with the way it's finished right now. So what I'll do is stick them in the wreath, just like this, and have a look at it, say, oh, that's way too much. Maybe I need a little less, take it out, fool with it a bit. And sometimes when I'm having problems putting this together, I would step back, take a break, come back again. Sometimes you just need, you're frustrated and you can't figure out what you like, what works, what doesn't work. So I have done that many times. And I will also take a picture of it and say, okay, is this how I like it? Okay, I like it. Take a picture, take everything out, and then put it together. I will add my glue stick, use my glue stick, add the items to it. With the grapevine wreath, it's really simple because you can just stick it inside of the wreath itself, and you don't really need the glue to play with it. But as you can see, I have lots of glue strands, I also added this bowl to the little watering can. I thought that added a little something. And another thing that I did was, when I was at Michael's, I bought this little scarecrow, and he had a basket. So what I did was I pulled the basket out, and I added this little pumpkin because I figured this was my fall wreath, and he's gonna sit right in the middle of the wreath. And as you can see, he's large enough to fill the space. And I'll just glue the pants. His hat, I can stretch his hat at the top, and I could probably use a little bit of wire or even a glue gun. What I've also done to this Mr. Scarecrow is, he had this little bow that I've taken apart. It looked like this. And I just pulled it all apart, and I made this out of ribbon. So I thought this may look a little more fallish than the red. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take a piece of, I am going to use a little pipe cleaner. That's for our next wreath, but I can use it here. And I'm just gonna take it and twist it very tight so you can barely see it. And then I'll trim off the pipe cleaner. Take a little glue. And add his little bow tie. And I might, to cover this glitter pipe cleaner, I think I will probably add a button to that. That way it doesn't look more festive than Halloween should. I also, on this, his hair wasn't falling straight, so I just took a leaf out of my little set and I glued him on there. And so his hair sort of lies a little bit flatter. Of course, I'll take off the price. So that's the inside of this. And then once I'm finished, I thought I would add this very large bow. I have made it out of I think it's burlap, but it's not really rough burlap, so it's okay. And I'll show you how to do a bow on the next wreath. And I think what I'm going to do is add that bow to the bottom of the wreath. So I don't know, what does everybody think? How's that look? Anybody? Do we have anybody in the chat yet?
Very nice. Love it.
Good. Glad to hear it. So this was just a quick one. I mean, I could probably put this together, within a half hour. I can share with you some of the picks that I used in it. So there was these, again, on clearance. I used those. I also used the leaves I showed you. I did use these, which I picked apart. I would peel it back this way and just use one. And then if I wanted, one or more, I would peel back the next one. And you can use your wire cutters to just trim those off. They really are very easy to trim down. And then of course I have my little watering can, and that just stick it right into the wire. I do like the grapevine wreath much better than the wired wreaths. They're just so much easier to work with. The large mum that I have here, it was a pick and I just cut it back. And I'm trying to think one other thing I want to share with you is that I have a lot of picks here, so that's for the next wreath. These are the gourds I use. They came in a big bag, okay? And one other thing I was hoping to do, but the wreath is too big, is to use something like this in the center. You could, if you get it big enough, and this was on clearance too, you put it right in the center of your wreath and then build around it. It's easy enough to get a little hole in the side, or you can see if it will fit in the wreath with just a glue gun. So that's something I really want to use. So maybe the next wreath I make. So that wreath, I think, is about complete. And did anybody have any questions about the wreath and the way it was put together? I can hold it up again. Whoops.
So we can go ahead and give a moment for people to write in their questions. So far, we've been getting a lot of comments saying they think it looks great, very creative. They love the scarecrow. One person said they thought it would look busy, but it's really not. And I have to agree with this person.
It would look what? I'm sorry.
One person commented that it looks nice, thought it would look busy, but it's not. Great balance.
No, right. If I mean, I actually could leave the bow out and possibly even put it at the top, but I just thought I wanted to fill most of the bottom and leave the top a little empty.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
And to
Lynn asks,
go ahead.
real quick, Lynn asks, how much do you usually spend on a wreath?
Well, so that grapevine wreath that I purchased back in September, I think was about maybe, oh, I don't know if there's a price on it. Maybe about $15, but I never shop without a coupon, honestly, because that's where you get some great deals. And if you have the Joann's app or the Michaels app, usually you will get notices if you have the app, and they will send you a coupon all the time. Right now, Joann's, if you go to the store and purchase anything, in your receipt, there's always a 50% off coupon. So, and then these, I think I may have spent $5 on all of this stuff because everything was 70% off. And I think this week it might even be 80% off because they want to get rid of it. So I'm a bargain shopper. And if it's something that I know I just want to make quickly, I'll just grab something that I think will work. I did have the leaves in my basement. I have a big package of them. And they've worked really well. They were a little flat, so I had to leave them out for a bit, but they seem to work okay. So on average, I could spend no more than $20. And I think that's a good price, especially if you go into the stores and you see how expensive they are, especially at Michael's.
Awesome. And then Margarita comments that those two craft stores, Michael's and Joann's, honor each other's coupons.
Actually, Michael's does not anymore. They used to do that, but they don't anymore. And also, I forgot to mention, Hobby Lobby is also a great place. They always have a 40% off coupon if you download their app, always. And you can also go to the Christmas tree shop. I find a lot of things are inexpensive. The next wreath I'm going to show you a few things I picked up relatively cheap. So if you're ready to move on, we can do that.
Oh, just one more request. Someone would like to see the wreath again real quick. If you can hold it up and maybe hold it a little further away from the iPad this time so that we can see more of it.
So I will turn this a bit so we can get there. So it's gonna look like that. You see?
Awesome. And then this person also had one last question for this wreath before we move on. Do you work with natural materials or only store-bought materials? And is there a difference when working with those two sets?
Well, the store-bought seems to be more readily available. The pine cone wreath that we're doing next is, from the pine cones you can get outside. They just have to be really clean to work with because your hands will get all kinds of sap all over them. But, whatever's available, I'll use. I mostly use stuff that I buy from the stores that, is easy to find.
All right. Great. That seems to be it for now. So we can move on and in the meantime, rack up more questions and comments in the chat.
Oh, sure. So the next wreath we're going to do is a pine cone wreath. And I have started it. And what I'm going to show you is, well, what I'll first tell you is this wreath that I purchased is a wire wreath. And I did purchase it at the Dollar Tree. You'll find a lot of wreath making supplies at the Dollar Tree. Some of them you really have to think about will they work for me? Because they are very inexpensive. But one of the things I do like from the Dollar Tree is the mesh. So this is floral mesh, and it has a little bit of holographic properties in it. And what I do is I take that mesh, and I've made mesh wreaths before. They are a lot of work. I have a Halloween one. If you'd like, I could show it to you. I take the mesh and I cut it at 8 or 9 inches either way. And then you will roll one side this way, and then you roll the other side till you reach the middle. And then take one of your pipe cleaners, which I have somewhere. Oh, they're over here. Then I cut my pipe cleaners in half because I get more out of them. Take your pipe cleaner, and it doesn't have to be exactly in half. So we've rolled both of them. And I am going to wrap that. And then because you have a lot of space in between and on the outside that you don't want anybody to see the edge of the wreath, I then put these little poofs, I call them, on the wreath itself. And I'll show you the back. So here's the back where I'm just twisting it onto one of the pieces. Now, when we make those giant wreaths that hang at 77 Massachusetts Avenue, we will usually lay down some balsa, and it's the greenery first. So that greenery will hide the wreath, and it really, we wire it and wire it and wire it so that we don't want that to fall down. And then we'll move on to putting groups of 3 of the pine cones onto the wreath in certain specific, spots. So I will show you now how to wire the pine cones. And I use, this is a 20 gauge wire, but you could use something thinner. This is really thick. It's actually what we use on the wreaths when we hang them at 77 Mass Ave. So let me just cut this. Yeah. And it's it's pretty long because I don't want to run out of wire when I'm trying to get it on my wreath. And anywhere on the bottom, I'm going to hold this a little close, and I just maneuver it inside as best I can, and then I'll twist it. And just keep twisting. And then it'll be time to place it on the wreath. So what I'll do is I'll open up these 2 pieces of wire and bring it to the wreath. And as I'm doing this, I'm pushing everything down so it's nice and close together. And then I will put it on the inside 2 wire pieces. And then twist it like I did the little poofs I did, the mesh, and twist and twist. Now, if it seems to come loose, I will then move it onto another piece of the back of the wire. And get that moving. Twist that. There. That seems a little more stable. And as you can see, the little mesh poofs that I've done have sort of created that little unempty space. The empty space that I had is now fills it in a bit. So that's how I wire them, and I'm not going to continue because it will take a long time to get them all done. But then I'm going to show you what I do next. So then I bought these little poofs. They're like snowballs. And I will then go and fill in where I see space. So something like this. You see? And then I'll find something, and I'm not gonna wire it down just yet because I wanna look at the wreath to make sure I like it. I also have these that I did purchase at the Dollar Tree. It's like a branch and they're loaded with glitter. I'm not sure I'm gonna use those just yet. I also have some little sprigs of, now this was all on one pick. It had some snowflakes and bells and these little pom-poms, I guess you would call them. And I've added some right in here. You can see them because I can see I have a little space there. Now, the other type of mesh that I have is also from the Dollar Tree. And that is right here. Same thing. It's a little thinner, but you can cut it this, a little shorter. I would, not cut it too big, maybe 6 inches or so. I'm not even going to measure it, but I will after, just so you know. And that is 7 inches. And again, you can do now this on the diagonal. Start this way, and then this way. And then I fold it in half, use a pipe cleaner. And then I would go and fill that in somewhere, like right here, where this hole is. Now, you can buy different sized pine cones. I know that at the League, we use very large ones. I see a question just came in. But as you can see, this little thing that I just stuck in the wreath sort of filled in the space that I saw. Okay. So I like this on the edge. Some people may not like it, but it sort of, fills in the gap of when you hang it on your door, you won't see the wire frame. So I also purchased a little snowman. I didn't want to make this Christmassy. I thought that if I made it winterish, that I could hang it past Christmas into the winter months. And this I purchased at Joann's, and it has a little clip on the back. So I could just clip it to some of the mesh, but I would prefer to glue it because those winters, they can be brutal. Okay. And then again, I purchased this at the Christmas tree shop, and I would just glue the whole thing down like that, straight onto the pine cones. And one other thing. So I really liked this, but I thought that's really big for my wreath. I don't need such a big thing. So what I thought I would do is take the screws out, okay, and use the centerpiece, and I could use that just right. I'm going to show you. I'm going to try to hold this up. Well, I don't know if I can. And just use it somewhere like here, just one piece where it wouldn't be so big. Some pieces you can use the entire sign in the center of your wreath, but I think this is a little too big for that. So I'm always thinking, oh, I could just use half of that. Oh, I just need the hat on that. Oh, I just need, just like the snowman. I mean, the scarecrow. I liked the scarecrow, but I didn't like the fact that he had a basket. So I'm thinking, well, I took it apart. And I've done that several times with a lot of wreaths that I've made. But does anybody have any questions before I move on?
Yeah, so someone right now is asking someone had asked if you bought the pine cones, but then you mentioned about the different pine cones you could buy.
Yes.
And then later someone asked if using a garland of balsam pine-like branches for a more traditional wreath look, how would you recommend attaching it?
So the balsam that we get for the wreaths they come in very big strands, and we use the wire. You could do the same thing. Just you would attach it where there's the stem or the branch is very thick, and then you would hide that branch or hide the wire with the balsam, if that makes sense. When we use the balsam, we layer and layer and layer. So there's probably, maybe Kirsty could answer this, I would say 3 to 4 layers of balsam, but you have to remember the wreaths are quite large. So we need to cover the base, which is a wood frame, so that you don't see it. Does that make sense?
Christy says, yes, I think we loop it around 4 times.
Okay, yeah. And then at the back of the wreath, I don't know if you can see mine, but at the back of the wreath, you see how the wire is here? This is what we do with the balsam. We just wrap it and we twist it, and then we move on to the next, where we go a couple of inches, we'll wrap it and twist it, and then we'll take a piece of wire and join this group with the next group. We just want those wreaths to be really secure so that nothing happens to them. Even, we all know how windy it gets.
This is Kirsty. I want to say that the best advice Brenda gave us was just how tight you wrap the stuff around. It's way tighter than you think, because especially like she says, the wind, things get blown around. So you think you have it tighter, make it tighter, and that way it will hold together.
Right. Thanks, Kirsty. I think you said it. So right now I'm just getting my little snowflake, and I'm gonna see if I can fit that in on the wreath. And I don't know how well, yeah, there we go. And if it comes off, I will re-glue, but for now, it's just a little snowflake. And I can see it's moving already. So I'll need to add a little more glue. I'm trying to think what else. Oh, and there was one other thing. So I have these picks. Now, these picks are great to use because you can just put them into your wreath like so and wire them in. And I think they look terrific. But this wreath is going to be a silver, white, so this doesn't work for me. And I didn't want it to be Christmassy, but what I did think was, well, I could just take off the present, and then if I wanted to use the gold, I could do a silver and gold and just add it to the wreath like that. And if I were going to use these, I would have dispersed them evenly around the wreath. And that was another thing that we did with the large wreaths, is we would disperse the pine cones evenly in groups of 3 and allow for the room on the bottom for our bow so that we could add the bow. So does anybody have any other questions?
Yes. Someone's asking, do you prefer pipe cleaner or will twist ties work?
Yes, twist ties will work. The reason I prefer pipe cleaners is because they're cheap. They're inexpensive. I think at the Dollar Tree, you get 50 of them in 1 pack for $1. I know that you can get them everywhere. And I just, the Dollar Tree to me is a place where you can buy inexpensive things. If you want to just experiment, especially where you're not sure about, spending money on expensive embellishments that you're going to use on the wreath, I would say start at the Dollar Tree. Here's something else I bought. This is these are stars, and I think they're a little too big for this wreath, but that was where I was going with them. They were white, and I thought they would work really well. 2 for $1 at the Dollar Tree. I also, this was something I thought was very cute. I bought these, I think this was at Joann's, and they are gift tags. So what I've done, I've already used one of them, so I can't show you what I've done with it. But as a gift tag, I just take it and I'll take off the ribbon, okay? And I'll trim out that little hole. that is for the gift tag, for the ribbon. Make it look a little better than it does. And then I'll take this and I might glue it to the wreath. I might glue it, you know, I don't know, let's say right there. And you have a cute little embellishment. But again, that's Christmas. If you want to do a Christmas wreath, you can just throw that on there. Very simple, easy and inexpensive. Any other questions?
Just a couple comments. Someone saying this is fantastic and she's getting a lot of great ideas of how to make wreaths. And someone else
Okay.
just commented saying that personally they use jute twine, which holds well, and then it's easy to cut if you want, to take your wreath apart after the holidays to reuse the materials in another setting.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Very good idea. When I use, when I store my wreaths, sometimes I'll take some batting and I'll put it, especially if the bows don't have wire, you know, you'll pull them out and they'll be flat. We run into that sometimes when we're doing other wreaths for the Institute. We're always poofing bows. So what I do is I take some stuffing that I bought at one of the craft stores and I'll stuff that inside of the bow so it keeps the shape. And that works really well. I'm going to show you, so this is the ribbon I planned on using for this wreath. I thought it was very appropriate. And here's my bow that I've already done. And if you'd like, I could do a real quick tutorial on how to make a bow. Does that sound good? Just let me know. Give me a thumbs up.
Yes, please,
Okay.
Definitely. People are here for that.
Okay, so the first thing is don't cut your ribbon. Start with just the end. Okay, so decide if it's going to be, you know, what size tail you think you might like your ribbon. Now I'm going to cut the second one because it's too long, but you can start long and then cut. So I'm going to start, say, here. I'm going to pull out a lot and I'm going to pinch. Okay, first thing I'm going to do is pinch. Okay, and then I am going to make my first loop and pinch. Now, when it comes time, if you have a ribbon that's not double-sided, you're going to have to do this. Hold it in whatever hand you work with and just twist. And then you have the right side. Does that make sense? All right. And try to just eyeball it to see if they're both the same. And keeping your fingers pinching. You're going to remember, pinch, pinch, pinch. And you're going to bring it back this way, and you're going to twist again. And you're going to make the second bow loop, I should say, just a little bigger. Okay? And again, you're going to pinch. Now, if you have heavier ribbon, it's going to be difficult to hold and pinch, but you can do it. I've done it. And then again, you're going to make a loop and pinch. Now, I usually make my bows with 6 loops. Sometimes I only do 4. So for this, I'll just do 4 because I think you've got it down. Okay, and then I'm gonna trim this. And I always cut it at an angle so it looks a little festive. And I'll trim the next one when I'm finished. Now with this, you could either use wire or you could use a pipe cleaner. Because I have a pipe cleaner somewhere, no, I'm gonna use wire because I don't have my pipe cleaner handy. And again, go into the center while you're holding it, bend your wire, bring it all the way back. And then what I do is I just pull it like this, pull everything together and twist. Okay. And then bring it back, bring it down, down. put your loops up. And your bow is ready. And you have lots of wire, and you can wire that onto anything. So did you follow along? I'd love to see your bows. Okay. Any
Diane
other
said it
questions?
was beautiful, and currently waiting for more comments. Just getting a few thumbs up from people saying it looks good.
Okay, that's good to hear. I'm gonna cut this
Oh,
and go-
Any chance you could do the last bit again?
The last bit, which part do you mean?
1 second.
I could make another bow if you'd like.
Let's go with that. Let's just make another boat so people can see it once
Okay.
more. And then as a reminder, this is being recorded and will go up on YouTube for future reference.
Okay, I'm gonna use another pretty ribbon. And this is wired as well. Okay, I'm gonna start with the long tail, make a loop, pinch. Now this is heavier, so I'm really gonna have to pinch. And then I'm gonna twist, make another loop, bring it to the back. Always when you're twisting, you wanna bring it to the back. I should have mentioned that. Twist. And your ribbon will twist as well. Okay. Bring it to the back. You're holding it. I've seen some tools that you can use. I think Michael's carries a bow maker. I just wing it. The best thing about wired ribbon is that you can play with it until you like it. And here's the second, fourth loop, okay? And then we're done. So now I think I'm getting to the part that you probably wanted me to go over. Take my wire, bring it to the bow. I don't know if you can see that. Okay. And then I'm gonna push it all down. And just, the tighter you can get this, the better. Okay. The tighter you can get it, the nicer your bow will stay together. And that's why sometimes I think if you use a thinner ribbon, wire, and as you can see, I'm using pliers to make this really tight. There. And then I bring it back up. And just shape it, as you can see, the shaping going on. And then I'll cut that wire, cut the ribbon. There you go. Okay. There. And you can move your tails whichever way you'd like. There you go.
Great. They got it this
Does that
time.
help?
Yes. That.
So I'd like to share one other wreath that I've made, and it's a mesh wreath. And maybe next year before Halloween or whichever, we could do it. But hold on just a second. I'm gonna go get it. 'Cause I think it's probably one of my best wreaths I've made. Here it is. This is a mesh wreath, all done with mesh and ribbon. And it was a lot of fun. I did it with a friend, and it's all done on the wire in the back. And as you can see, this mesh is a lot larger than the small mesh that I have here. This is the type of mesh that you buy at the stores like Michael's, and I actually purchased some of this at, I think, one of the flower places in Boston. So, but it's fun ribbon, and my kids thought that was appropriate for the sign. But again, this is from the Dollar Tree. Something, you know, big enough for one of these large wreaths. Yeah,
That's
it
incredible.
is fun. Yeah, that was a fun one to do. I also did another one with a centerpiece that was from the Christmas tree shop, and it said, "Let it snow," and it was all done in just blue and white mesh. So something to think about for next year, maybe. All right.
Yeah, that's absolutely incredible. Everyone loves it. Sharon asks, how do you start with the mesh wreath?
So with the mesh wreath, you have to, very similar to the way I'm doing these, I don't remember the size that you cut, but you cut those pieces, I want to say 12 inches, maybe even 9 inches. I'm not sure. I could try to find the directions and maybe share it with the group. And then you fold it in half. As you can see, these are just really poofs, you know, and it's just folded in half. If I can show you, you can see how it's wired on here, again, with pipe cleaners, but it's sort of, you know, because it's holographic, it's really hard to see. But you just fold it in half, and then you get these little poofs, because this type of mesh is really thick and big. I want to say it's, I don't know, you can get it in 4 inches, 6 inches, maybe 12-inch wide. So you're using much bigger pieces, but because this is so small, you have to use the smaller pieces. But it's the same idea.
All right.
Any other questions?
None at the moment, so I think we can move on.
Okay, so that's the 2 wreaths that I've had for today. I hope that everyone enjoyed looking and seeing how it's done. And if there's any other questions, I'd be happy to answer. I have other crafts that I do, as you can see, my quilt that I just finished behind me, that's called Bringing Home the Christmas Tree. And it's getting ready to quilt. So I make cards and I scrapbook and you name it, I do it. So yeah. So I'd like to see everybody make a wreath and maybe share it with the group. We'd love to see what you've done, and hopefully you'll find time to do it. I know everybody's busy. Oh, you're welcome, everybody.
Yeah, everyone's saying thank you so much. Diane asks, how long have you been making wreaths and other crafts?
I've been doing crafts, oh boy, since high school, so that was a long time ago. You know, 30, 40 years. I started making jewelry, stringing freshwater pearls, and then moved on to semi-precious stones. And then I had children, so I started scrapbooking and making quilts, and put my quilting down for a long time, and just picked it up a couple of years ago. I was going to say weeks, but years ago. But I still enjoy making cards, and I'm in a group of women who we do a swap, and you know, every month we get together and we swap out our little kits, and it's a lot of fun. So unfortunately, it's a lot of crafts to have too. So you really got to remember when you finish something to just purge it, so you don't keep it in, you know, your house doesn't end up being crafty. That makes sense. Yeah.
I bet. Everyone's saying thank you so much.
Well, thank you.
Christy Bennett just dropped a YouTube link in the chat for a video on MIT wreath making. It also features you, Brenda, in it.
Great. That's great. So yeah, so maybe one time again, we could do something different. I don't know if the activities committee or the Women's League had any other ideas, but I'm game.
Sounds great. The MyTech is always looking for more talks to host.
That would be fantastic, Brenda. It was so like amazing to see you work the magic with the wreath and all, you know, and the bow especially. I'm
Yeah,
always
I know people.
complete
Yeah,
disaster with the bow every year. It's just like falling apart, and then the snow comes and it's a mess. But so thank you for that.
Well, if you practice on the thinner ribbon. Oh, and I did want to mention something. When I do bows, sometimes I'll do a double bow. Like I'll take a thin ribbon, and this is glitter on one side and then it's smooth on the other. So you really wouldn't have to worry about twisting this because you'd get a nice complement to itself, so to speak. But I would take two different sizes, and I thought I had a different one here that I can show you how I did this. Yeah, here it is. So I might use something that's very solid and something that's very sheer. And this size is 3/8 of an inch, okay? And this size is 5/8 of an inch. So I would take the two of them together and I would stack it on top of each other, okay? And then make a wreath, make a bow. We'll just do a quick one, okay? Like so. And then when I'm done, I can pull them apart and you get that little contrast, but you also see the glitter. And I think that's quite pretty, you know? Just something to think about, you know? You could use this size with a larger size, but I like to do this like this because you get the contrast. I think I did it on the little can here. You see how I did that right there? Just makes it look a little different.
Beautiful, Brenda. Thank you.
Oh,
You're welcome.
Christy mentioned in the chat that if, for everyone still with us right now, if you'd like to support Brenda's chosen charity with a small donation to thank her for today, it's the Dana, she dropped it in the chat, the link to the charity is danafarber.org.
Thank you. And thanks for coming, everybody. I hope I taught you something today. And if you have any questions, please reach out to me. I'm at MIT. Kirsty has my email. I'd be happy to answer any questions. You can write to the Women's League or to Diane at the Activities Committee.
Thank you again, Brenda, and Kirsty, for such an amazing workshop today. It was like so great to take a break in the afternoon and watch, like, you know, this magic happen. I feel a lot more optimistic now as
Good.
you know, as everything approaches. So that's yeah, it's a very good thing. So thank you so much for sharing your creativity and all with everybody today.
Right. You're welcome. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. And happy holidays. Happy Thanksgiving.